You know, the worst thing about living is that sometimes it really gets in the way of life. That is, in my opinion, the absolute moral of the story today. We have a really, it's tempting to call this poem quaint. It's tempting to call this poem quaint because it is in reference to what would be a singular moment that would have been valued. Uh, but I don't think that quaint is really the correct word for it. I think that this poem is correctly, aptly summed up by the word thorough. Why? Because it is thoroughly going through one of the most common mistakes, if you will, to living life in general. Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will take place in the poetry discussion playlist, now approaching 750 videos strong. The poem in question today, The Long Hill by Sara Teasdale, a very, very succinct poem. Difficult to be both succinct and thorough, but this poem does it. The Long Hill reads as such. I must have passed the crest a while ago, and now I am going down. Strange to have crossed the crest and not to know. But the brambles were always catching the hem of my gown. All the morning I thought how proud it would be to stand there, straight as a queen, wrapped in the wind and the sun, with the world under me. But the air was dull. There was there was little I could have seen. But the air was dull, there was little I could have seen. Pardon me for absolutely destroying that line. It was nearly level along the beaten track, and the brambles caught in my gown. But it's no use now to think of turning back. The rest of the way will be only going down. She's crossing a hill. Who cares? Right? Who cares? What is this about? Well, if a poem is simply 4, 8, 12 lines long, and one of those lines repeats, you've got to look at that line. That's probably Poetry 101, right? So what line repeats here? It's not necessarily a whole line, but it's definitely not nothing. But the brambles were always catching in the hem of my gown. Where's the other one? And the brambles caught in my gown. What is a bramble? Well, a bramble is a thorny little growth off of a shrubbery. A shrubbery. So it's something that is aggravating and annoying and probably painful if it hits you just right. It is a pain in the butt. It's a distraction. Okay, so what are we talking about here? She just gets brambles in her gown and now she's disappointed. Who cares? Well, no. Let's go back. I must have passed the crest a while ago, and now I am going down. Strange to have crossed the crest and not to know. But the brambles were always catching in the hem of my gown. So she's looking forward to this crest of the hill, right? But the brambles distracted her. She's looking forward to the peak of her life. But the annoying little parts distracted her. How many times? How many times do you let your day be absolutely derailed because you were getting dressed for work and your belt snapped? Something absolutely stupid. But you don't have a second belt. so it throws your day for a loop. What are you going to do? Or something goes wrong at some point during your day. And instead of enjoying any part of your day, you never get over that thing that went wrong. You never get over, you got a speeding ticket in the morning. The rest of your day was ruined. Whatever it is, it could be really something that's not out of the norm, something that is very of the norm, something very run of the mill for you. It could be something so simple as that, something you don't like about your own life. You don't like your job. You don't like where you live. You don't like your car, whatever it is. And instead of focusing on the rest of your day while you're in it, you curse your job the whole time. You rue the day that you moved into your apartment. Any of these things. So the peak, the crest, the peak of your life, the meat of when you're supposed to be living, you let these stupid little things bother you, tear you down. All the morning I thought how proud it would be to stand there straight as a queen. I wanted to get to the top of that hill and just stand there as if my head were a finial to a flag post. But I didn't even notice I was there. Didn't even notice that I was at the peak of my life, the peak of my powers, because I let all of these stupid little things bother me. I thought it would be so cool to be at the top of that hill standing there, wrapped in the wind and the sun like royalty, with the entire world beneath me. But the air was dull. There was little I could have seen because I wasn't paying attention. And now I am on the downside of life. I am past the peak of my life. And I let all the stupid little things bother me. It was nearly level along the beaten track, and the brambles caught in my gown. But it's no use to think of turning back. The rest of the way will only be going down. The best part is over. It's just downhill from here, baby. It's easy, I think, to absorb these lessons momentarily. It's easy, I think, to accept the wisdom in such decoding of language. Something much more difficult to impart in your own life. It's something much more difficult to abide by. It's something much more difficult to recognize while it's happening. I'm very guilty of this, by the way. Very guilty of this. So one thing that I've gotten better at since I've gotten older is that I don't let it stop me. So that's something I refer to as letting the world win, right? Your day goes like crap from the beginning because X, Y, and Z, and then you let the world win so you don't work on the stuff you want to work on. You wake up and you go to work. Work ruins your day. You go home and vegetate instead of working on your life's work. I call that letting the world win. I don't let the world win very often anymore, but this is not to say that I enjoy my life while I'm in it. I do let stupid little things deter me. I do let stupid little things ruin my day, and then all the while after that thing ruins my day, no matter what I'm working on, and I try to win every day at least a little bit, I'm upset. I'm angry. How could this thing have sucked so bad? How could there have been so many brambles caught in my gown? Instead of just ignoring the brambles completely. But if I am to play devil's advocate, Aren't those brambles part of life? Oftentimes, when a bramble, from my understanding of the language, is mentioned, a bramble is mentioned as part of like a blueberry or a raspberry bush. So those brambles come with fruits of their own. Here in the poem, that part's not mentioned. Just the negatives. So that our speaker misses the peak of life. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like, appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one. There's poetry every Monday. Don't forget poetry every Monday.